If you have a long face, the wrong haircut pulls it down, but the right one lifts it up. Today I'm going to share 5 beautiful haircuts that look amazing on oblong face shapes. First, let's go over facial proportions. An oblong face shape is noticeably longer than it is wide, with fairly straight sides and a softly rounded chin. If you're not sure if this is your face shape, look in the mirror with your hair slicked back or take a photo straight on. If the distance from your hairline to your chin is about 1.5 times longer than the width across your cheeks, you most likely fall into the oblong face shape category. You'll see this face shape very clearly on women like Sarah Jessica Parker, Liv Tyler, and Iman. They all have elongated proportions, which can be stunning, but the wrong haircut can make that length feel exaggerated. One more thing that I want to touch on before we move on that comes up a lot in my comment section is that many women notice their faces start to look longer as they get older, and that's actually because as we lose collagen and fullness through the cheeks and the temples, the face can appear more hollow, which naturally emphasizes length. When that mid-face volume drops, those vertical lines become more pronounced, and haircuts that once felt really balanced can suddenly start to pull the face downward. So if your haircut worked before, but it's just suddenly not working now, then it's time to just change it up. Okay, so let's get into some beautiful haircuts that will work especially well for you if you fall into this category. The first one that I want to show you is the shoulder length cut with face framing layers. This haircut gives you all the softness and versatility of longer hair, but without pulling the eyeline downwards. What really makes this cut so effective is the layering around the face. When they start near the cheekbones or the jawline, they add width through the sides, exactly where a long face needs it the most. That fullness through the midsection draws the focus upwards towards the center of your features, making the face appear lifted rather than lengthened. In general, when it comes to styling, an oblong face doesn't usually look the best when the hair is pin straight. So if you prefer a smoother look over a textured one, try adding a soft bend or a slight outward flip at the ends to see how it changes the balance for you. If you do love texture, adding loose waves that fall at the cheeks will add width through that more hollow area of the face, which is exactly what you want to do. The second haircut that I want to show you is long layers, but styled with texture. This is a beautiful option if you love long hair, but don't want it to drag your face down. What makes this cut so effective is the soft layering throughout it. Those layers create width at the sides of the face, which helps visually balance the shape. And when you add a wave, that side to side movement brings the focus back to the cheeks and jawline, not to the length of the face. Now let's talk about adding bangs to this haircut because they can completely change how this shape works for a long or a narrow face. If your facial length comes from your forehead, you will see that when you divide your hair into thirds. If the upper third is the longest compared to the middle or the bottom, a fringe can bring instant balance. A blunt style like the one Dakota Johnson wears, for example, shortens the look of the forehead immediately and adds a lot of framing around the eyes. It's bold, but incredibly flattering if you're comfortable with that very clean line across the face and you have a tall forehead. If you prefer something softer and more open, curtain bangs are also a great match for this cut. This type of fringe works especially well if your facial length sits more in the lower third, like Sarah Jessica Parker's, for example. She carries most of her length below the cheekbones, so curtain bangs help balance things out exactly where she needs it, whereas a blunt bang looks too heavy on her because even though her face is long, it's long in the bottom third, not the top third. I know this can sound a bit confusing, so I actually made an entire video explaining it. If you want to learn more about facial proportions and how bangs play into that, I'll leave that pinned in the comments for you to watch later. The next haircut is the chin length bob. As a fellow oblong face shape girly myself, this is my favorite haircut ever. It works beautifully on long faces because it ends right at the jawline, creating a really strong horizontal line that adds width to the lower third of the face. So if your face feels very narrow or particularly long in the bottom third here around the mouth, this cut adds fullness exactly where you need it. You can wear it sleek with a slight undercurve or add a soft wave to bring volume through the sides. No matter which way you style it, this shape always brings the focus back to the cheekbones and just softens the overall length of the face by a lot. Now, if you have naturally curly hair, this cut can be gorgeous for you too because curls expand out, which adds width with less styling. With that said though, cutting a straight hair bob versus a curly hair bob is very different. So make sure that your stylist understands how to work with natural texture. Cutting curls wet can actually lead to a lot of shrinkage, as I'm sure you curly hair girls know. And for a long face, we want the volume to sit here in the sides, kind of rounded. We don't want it to float up too high. Curly bobs really do need very careful shaping, and I know that from experience. If the cut is too blunt or it's not layered right, it can easily turn into like a triangular shape. So in this case, I would recommend definitely going to see a curly hair specialist. They'll know how to shape this properly so that you can keep that soft, bouncy movement. Bobs are very technical haircuts. Curly bobs are a whole other technical haircut. So make sure you're going to the right person so that you don't take my advice and then end up with a haircut that you really don't like. When it's done right though, it is so beautiful. The Bixie. If a bob and a pixie had a baby, it would be the Bixie. This style works especially well for long faces because it builds volume through the sides while keeping some length around the face and the ears. That side fullness helps widen a narrow face and breaks up that long vertical line. What makes the Bixie different from a pixie is the length and the softness. It has more layers, more coverage around the cheeks, and often includes a fringe, which we know can really help balance out some of those longer face shapes. If you're gonna try this haircut, just make sure to ask your stylist to keep a bit of length in the crown and the side. You want volume and shape through the midsections of the face, not too much height at the top, because that's gonna make your face look narrower and longer. And just like with the bob, as long as you customize it properly, it can work on most textures. It can work on straight, wavy, even loose curls, and it's an amazing choice for mature women or anyone wanting an easy style that still flatters and frames the face. The bob and the pixie baby is a great little baby. At some point in my life, I'm gonna do that haircut. I've wanted that haircut forever. The next cut is basically the best of everything we've talked about. It's layered like the shoulder length cut, long like the second cut, has shorter pieces for width like the bob, and almost always includes curtain bangs. It's the best of all of them, and it's called the butterfly cut. I fell in love with this haircut when I learned about it a few years ago. The butterfly cut has short face framing layers on top and longer layers underneath. It gives the illusion of shorter hair around the face, kind of like a bob, right? But it keeps the length in the back. It's a 2-in-1 haircut. The layers add movement and volume through the sides, while the curtain bangs soften the forehead and blend the whole shape together. This haircut is especially flattering for long faces because although it's long, it breaks up the vertical length without sacrificing softness or flow. The shorter layers add lift at the cheekbones and jawline, while the longer ones keep everything really light and airy. To get the most out of this cut, ask your stylist to start the shortest face framing layers around the cheekbones. That placement will give a lot of lift. You'll also want soft rounded layering, not choppy, so the shape flows and opens up the face instead of creating hard angles. Up next on the channel, learn how to choose the right bangs based on your facial proportions, or if you're in the mood to keep exploring, click the video YouTube recommends for you right here. I'll see you over there.